What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, and this is the Samsung Galaxy A07, and in this video, we're going to be going over camera tips and tricks. Now, even though this device is a very low-end, affordable phone from Samsung, we actually are getting some decent cameras here, and along with that, some decent camera features. So I want to show you all that in this video, so let's get started. So this is the Samsung Galaxy A07. Now, as I mentioned in the intro of the video, this is one of Samsung's cheapest devices available, and despite that, it is pretty impressive that we are getting a 50 megapixel main camera with the phone. And along with that, there is a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera to assist with portrait mode. Now, if you're looking for a quick and easy way to get to the camera app here on the device, all you have to do is just double press on the power button, and then from there, it immediately pulls up the camera. And then from there, you can begin capturing photos. Now you'll see down below here, it does say 1x, which means it's on the default mode for the main camera, but if you tap on 2, it will zoom in at 2x. However, keep in mind that this phone does not have a dedicated telephoto camera, so that is simply cropping in, but one of the benefits of the camera actually being 50 megapixels is that at least for a digital zoom like we're getting here, that functionality does work a lot better. Then from there, you can actually further zoom in at 4x, and then all the way to 10x. So if the main camera was a lower megapixel count, this certainly would not look as clear as it actually does. So just know that at least you do have the ability to zoom in here, but it isn't as good as a telephoto camera like you'd find with the flagship S series from Samsung. But at the same time, this is still better than nothing. Now if you look up top here, you will see that it does say 12M, and what that means is that by default, the phone is actually going to capture images at 12 megapixels instead of the full 50 megapixels. So simply tap up here, it'll switch it over to 50M, and then you can actually begin capturing 50 megapixel photos. So the reason why that's not the default mode is because 50 megapixel images do take up a lot more space on your phone compared to 12 megapixels, and Samsung figures that for most users, they don't actually need 50 megapixel images. So I am still glad that feature's there, but just know that when you pull this phone out of the box and you begin capturing images, the photos are not actually 50 megapixels. But you can see when taking a 50 megapixel photo, there's a ton of detail here, so that feature is certainly not a gimmick. It does work really well, and there certainly are a lot of situations where you will want to use it. But just know that by default, we're not actually getting that there. Then also up top here, you can tap there to toggle the flash. So by default, there's no flash, but there's also options for auto and have it on at all times. Now another hidden feature here is that all you have to do is simply swipe down on the viewfinder and it'll switch things over between the two cameras. So now we're on the front facing camera. If I swipe again, it'll switch it over to the rear camera. Now down below here, this is pretty self-explanatory, but I want to show you all your options that you're getting. So you can go to portrait mode, and then that's where that secondary camera really comes in handy. So you can see you're getting those nice blurred out backgrounds. You can even go here to adjust the blur, so you can do less blur or more blur. So that's nice to have that toggle there. Now if we go back here, you'll see also there's an option here to adjust various modes. And I'll actually go to the standard photo mode to show you this. So we have from the right side here, this is known as beauty mode. So basically you can set up different face filters. I personally don't use this, but I know for some people they do actually like this and find it to be useful. So it really depends, but definitely mess around with that and see if you prefer to use that feature or not. Also down here, we have different filters available. So there's all kinds of different filters. You can adjust the strength of those filters as well. So it is really cool that this is all built in here into the phone. And especially considering that this is a low-end smartphone. It's not like Samsung is really taking away features. Obviously, you're not getting a ton of different cameras here, but at least for what you're getting, you are getting good software to go along with that. Now, I already showed you the 12M to 50M. Now, also right here, you can switch between aspect ratios. So 3:4, you can do 9:16 or 16:9. That's great for thumbnails. You can do 1:1, so square. And then also there's an option for full, which this phone does have a 20:9 aspect ratio display. You can also go over, and I'll put that back on 3:4, over here for the timer. So there's 2 seconds, 5 seconds, and 10 seconds. And then there is another quick way to get to the flash right there. Now going over to video mode, we do have some different options. So you can also zoom in when taking a video. So that could be helpful for you. And then up top here, you can switch between 1080p or 720p. But there is a limit of 30 frames per second for either mode. And then flipping onto the front-facing camera, it's the same thing here. You also get 720 or 1080. And then another thing too is that when you are taking selfies, you can crop out a little bit for a group selfie, which is pretty nice. And then of course, you can also capture portrait selfies too. So lots of different functionalities when it comes to that. Now we'll flip back over to the rear camera. I'm going to slide over here to the More tab. and there's a lot of different options here. So there is a pro mode, so you can toggle things like ISO, autofocus, white balance, which is pretty nice. Also in the more tab, we have night mode, food mode, panorama, slow motion, and hyperlapse. Now if you go to edit, you can actually take any of these and then you can move those into this bottom slider. So maybe you're using pro mode all the time. You can now have that down there. Maybe you don't use portrait mode very often. You could grab onto that and take that out. So it really just depends on how you want to use your phone, and this is fully customizable, which is really convenient. In addition to that, if we go back here to this menu, you'll see a gear icon. If you go there, it'll take you over to even more settings. So we have, for example, Scene Optimizer, so automatically optimize the color contrast of pictures to make dark scenes look brighter, make food look tastier, and landscapes look more vivid. Now definitely with a phone like this, where even though the camera is 50 megapixels, it's not necessarily the best camera out there, this is something you might want to try out, and it is using intelligent features here to make that possible. There's also a QR code scanner, and this is enabled by default, so simply point your camera at a QR code, and then from there you can just go to that website. We also have swipe shutter button. So by default, if you swipe on the shutter button, it will take burst photos, and then you can also have it create a GIF or GIF image if you want to. So we'll try this right now. So you can see I just took a bunch of photos there, like 10 photos there in the burst mode. Now we'll switch this over to GIF or GIF. Let me know what you call it in the comments. I'm curious to know. But now you can see I'm creating a moving image. And despite this being a low-end phone, it is impressive that it can even process all of that. Now it is a little bit slower. Let me see if I can actually get that to pull up here. There we go. And there is our moving image. So that's really cool. We can also then go back over to that same menu. And there is the watermark. So I actually like the watermark a lot. I feel like this is a feature that Apple really should incorporate with the iPhones. But you have the ability to put a name here. So by default, it gives you the name of the phone. You can also go to edit and you can put your own name, potentially. You can also go to date, so you can add the date down below and even the time as well. And you can also pick to add AM and PM if you want to. And then for the date, you can have different formats for the date. So this kind of reminds me of the old school film cameras where you'd get those developed and then you'd have all this information, which in a lot of ways, it actually is pretty nice having all that because maybe you look back on those memories and then from there, you actually know when the photo was taken and other details as well. You can also pick different fonts for this, at least 2 other fonts. You can also pick the alignment and you can put it up towards the top if you want to instead. So a lot of different good things there with the watermark. There's also high efficiency pictures. So save space by capturing photo mode and high efficiency image formats. I personally wouldn't really use this. I feel like it's kind of annoying, but you might want to give it a try potentially. Save selfies is previewed. It saves selfies and selfie videos as they appear in the preview without flipping them. It kind of depends on your preference. And then we also have swipe up and down to switch cameras. I already showed you that. There's also high efficiency videos. I would skip that one. Now HDR makes your photos pop by capturing more detail in the bright and dark areas of your photos. So that can certainly come in handy, especially with a phone like this where the cameras aren't the highest end. So I would probably keep that on. There's also composition guide, location tags as well. It would add tags to your photos and videos so you know where they're taken, but I'll show you composition guide right now. And you can actually go here to pick if you just want grid lines only or the level only. But with that enabled, you can see we have the full rule of thirds and then also the level. So you know that everything's actually level in your images. So that is helpful. And let's see what else. We have shooting methods. So we have pressing the volume buttons and by default, that'll actually capture a photo or a video. So if you tap on the volume button, it'll capture an image or start a video. We'll go back over here and I'll show you what else that can do. So if you want it to zoom in or out, you can also do that, or it can actually serve as just the volume button as it's intended. But going up zooms in, going down zooms out. So that's pretty intuitive and could actually help you. Depends on the situation that you're in. We also have floating shutter button. I'll enable that. And then also show palm. And I'm not sure why that's grayed out there. So with this floating shutter button, you can see right there, the button is indeed floating. And you can just use it as the normal shutter button. It's just that it's off to the side here. And it's not down there. You can still use this one, of course. That is always an option. Now show palm is enabled. So you just have to have the phone in selfie mode. So we'll try that. So literally just show your palm. And then it starts a timer. So that's actually a genuinely useful feature. That's a feature I use pretty often, especially as a content creator, because there's a lot of situations where I'm working solo and I don't really have anyone to help me out. So that is nice to have. And then also settings to keep. So if you change any of these settings, for example, maybe you're always wanting 50 megapixel images, you can go in here and have those settings stick so that every time you open up the camera app, you don't have to start from scratch. Now over here in the home screen, you'll see the gallery app right there. If you hold down on that, there are some quick toggles here. So you can go directly to your favorites, your recents, or search your gallery. Also, if you hold down on the camera app, you can do the same thing. So you can quickly go over to record a video or take a portrait or take a selfie. So I can bypass certain things to kind of speed things up for you, which could be nice. Also, keep in mind, if you didn't notice, but you probably did, you can go directly to the camera here from the lock screen. So there is a little bit of a delay, but it is there for your convenience. And on that note too, if you hold down on your lock screen, put in your code, you can actually go and edit these down here. So if you tap on that icon for the camera, for example, you can switch it over to scan a QR code. So maybe you prefer that instead. Or if you have a custom camera app like Instagram Camera, you can quickly go to the camera on Instagram and swap that out. So that's another cool hidden feature there that I think might help you out a bit. Now, unfortunately, even though this is a new Samsung smartphone running One UI 7, we don't actually get Galaxy AI in the gallery here. So these are the options that you're getting in the gallery. You can go up here for more settings, but it really is kind of a more basic experience. Obviously, harding it saves it to your favorites. You can go to this eye right here for info. Now, sometimes on certain phones, there would be suggestions here from AI, but we're just not getting that here with the A07. Of course, you can share and delete, and then right here, you can go to edit. So here are your editing options. If you're curious, you can do different things like cropping in, you can change the direction of the image. You can go right here to add different filters after the fact. You can also adjust the brightness, contrast, highlights, all that stuff that you kind of expect to find with a smartphone. You can go here as well to draw over the image, add stickers. You can add text as well. So that might be nice. There's different fonts available too, and you can also download some additional fonts. So it is a bit unfortunate that you're not getting all those cool features, where you can hide things or remove things in your images, but this is the situation. There is Lasso, but it's just not the same as what you get with Galaxy AI. So you can do different things like this, mess around with this. Honestly, all these features I just skip. They're not that good of features. It's kind of just the bare minimum here. There's spot color, so you can have different colors show up compared to other ones. There's also color mix available here too, but really just the basics. Now keep in mind though, Google Photos is already pre-installed on this device, and you actually are getting a lot of different AI features with Google Photos. You can even go to the Create tab here, and there's a bunch of different options like turning a photo into a video and different things like that. So definitely try those out as well. It is too bad that Samsung doesn't give you those features built into this phone, but at least Google does. You can even go to Edit, and there are different AI features available. So you can go to Actions, you can use the Magic Eraser if you want to erase something. So even though this is a low-end phone, that doesn't mean that it's not capable of these different AI features. It was literally a choice from Samsung. Well, anyway, it will eventually load, but you get the idea. We're getting Magic Eraser. There's just different features here that you don't get in the default gallery app on the Samsung Galaxy A07. But I hope you enjoyed this video today. Hopefully this helped you kind of get a better idea of what features are actually available here with the Galaxy A07, because I know that when you're looking at the listing, maybe before you actually even buy this phone, you don't always know what exactly you're getting, because even though many of their phones run the same software, such as One UI 7, the actual features you're getting within that software can be different from phone to phone. So again, hope you liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. But this is Kevin here. This is Samsung Galaxy A07 camera tips and tricks, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.